When I look at the test, I can I can have a map of what's going on. And I feel like maybe I didn't do that well on the test, but I feel like, I'm understanding the concepts and I can have, there's a map in my mind and there's what's going on step by step, everything.
Perspectives on education.
Assessment is a growing area of interest in education. More and more teachers and schools are looking at how they assess and what they're assessing. We try to assess for understanding, but are we always successful? And what exactly does understanding mean? I interviewed 2 teachers and 2 students in order to get different perspectives on the concept of assessment and understanding. So how do you define understanding? In terms of your classes, you're taking a course. What does it mean to you if I say understanding the content?
I think the ultimate step is you will be able to, use it in life. But that's the really ultimate step. So I think in school, when you say understanding is maybe just you can get it in a test, right? You can get the answer. I think that means at least you sort of understand the concept. But it might exactly mean you really get the thing. But it's hard to, test whether you actually really understanding or not.
I define it as being able to apply that concept in different manners. For example, understanding a certain law of physics would be being able to apply that to life situations.
If they can use something that we've done as the basis for further reasoning from there, that convinces me that they've really got it.
Having enough knowledge about a subject that you can apply that knowledge to new related situations.
How do you know whether you really understand a concept or not?
Well, I think for me, this is a really tricky question because I feel like for me, based on my experience, last year when I took world history, I feel like for me it's all about memorizing. So every time after I took my world history test, that's why I felt so nervous before the final exam because I feel like I forgot everything. Because for every test, I memorized all the IDs, all the definitions, and I don't feel like I'm understanding the material.
If you can write about it, that is... If you can teach it, then you know it.
Okay. How do teachers test that understanding? So, for example, you said world history or American history. How does a teacher...
See, the difference for these 2 tests is last year for world history, our test is always the same format with 25 fill in the blanks and then 1 essay. But the problem is for the fill in the blank, it's not like, okay, let's say apple, and then you have to define apple. Is they put down the definition of apple, and all you have to do is put apple, the words in. So that just gave, that's how my classmates do that too. So all you have to do is, as long as you know sort of what's the definition of this word, and then you go to the test, you can just put that word in, but maybe you don't really know what this word really means. So this year the difference is they give you apple and you have to write a paragraph of what apple is, which means it sort of forces you have to know what apple really is, otherwise you can't get a question.
How do you assess student understanding?
I am thoroughly convinced that I can't do it in just one way. So I do a variety of things. I don't actually give a grade for class participation, but I do a fair bit of graded work where students are in pairs and they have to talk through things to try to explain it to other people. And I think them being able to collaborate to reach a goal is one way to get beyond just having them solve problems for me. My bread and butter is still written assessment, quizzes and tests, but then in addition to that, I go with write-ups from projects where I ask them to explain things, and the collaborative piece I was describing is trying to get them to explain things to each other.
I'm not big in just regurgitate a list of things, or, you know, tell me what I've told you. I want them to apply to new situations. And I suppose I do that to some extent with essays as well, because I usually give them questions they've not seen before.
If you don't really understand something, can you fool a teacher on a test so that they think you do?
I think you can, especially for a course like history based on definition, right? For those ID and multiple choice, if you just memorize, I mean, at least for some part of it, you can fool the teacher, but not everything. Like essay, if you don't understand, you can't really get the concept. Like for math and science, so but like I think most of the time you can't really fool the teacher.
Yes, depending on what it is. If it's, say, a mathematical application of something, it's much more difficult than if you can use words to sort of dodge the issue a little bit and talk about related matters that you do understand rather than the exact solid point.
Have you ever encountered a situation where you think that people understand, you think the students understand something, and then you discover through assessment that they really don't understand?
Absolutely.
So what do you think is going on there?
There are times when in the give and take of classroom discussion, if I kind of get what I'm after from the next comment or the response to my question, that I just think that's great and I go with it from there. I've run into times, maybe we all run into times, when you think a whole class is with you because they're agreeable and they're going along with what you say, and then you put something back in their hands and they're dead in the water.
I've had a lot of moments when I've thought they understood from class, because they won't say that they don't understand. They won't raise their hand in large group situations, or they don't care. And then it gets to the test and I realize, 8 out of 10 all did it this way. I've actually, I've got to change the way I approach that material, or I need to make sure that they understand it better next time.
Have you ever experienced where you thought you understood something, but then you discovered you didn't really understand it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
And so why? In other words, why did you think you understood something that you didn't?
I think for those times I thought I understand it is because maybe, when I was doing the homework, I got them right? Maybe I just plug into the formula and I think I got it. But maybe I didn't really understand the real concept of it. And when teacher asks you questions, most of the time they won't just, give you a question by you only need to plug in to the formula. So if you didn't really get it, then you're not going to get it right in the test. So, sometimes, that happened to me, especially, math and physics, that kind of subjects.
Are you saying that you need the test to know whether you understand it?
I think test is a way to exam, it's a good way to see whether you fully understand the materials or not. Okay. I mean, that's,
There is general agreement amongst both teachers and students as to what understanding means and as to how best to assess it. The idea of grades does sneak into answers from both teachers and students despite not being part of the questions asked. Teachers, for the most part, seem to be trying to assess for true understanding, though it's clear from some of the student answers that sometimes students can get away with fooling the teachers, and that sometimes there is a misunderstanding about how much understanding is really going on.
This presentation was brought to you by POE, Perspectives on Education.